Hey, what's going on, everybody? Once again, we back. I know it's been a minute. I missed y'all. Listen, I really did miss y'all because it's been a season of work. It's been a season of growth. And for those of you who are tuned in with me, I want to say I really appreciate you. In the words of my favorite rapper, it says, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with me. So I really appreciate that. So whether you tuned in live or you're catching the replay, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being diligent with me, for being faithful, and for tuning in for these lunchtime tips with you all. Just a quick announcement. This weekend was a little bit of the wrap up for a major project. And that wrap up for that major project was the winning mindset. We actually launched 3 books one weekend. All of them the same book. It was the winning mindset book. It was the winning mindset workbook. And we even have a Spanish translation on Amazon exclusively for you. So all of the authors in the book did a phenomenal job. There's some phenomenal stories, powerful stories. And I hope you go ahead and grab your copy. If you don't have one of the favorite authors that you know from the book, feel free to reach out to me. I'll send you the link to buy it directly from me. As I say on each and every video, make sure you support these authors by purchasing it directly from their link. Yeah, we want to go to Amazon and say, hey, I got my book from Amazon and I supported you. You're actually sending that author about 30 to 50% of what that book is worth, if even that much. So make sure that you reach out and you support those authors. Another announcement, what made this book so special, 2 of the people that were actually in this book are the people that gave me birth, my parents. So salute to y'all. They wrote an amazing forward for me, lifted my heart when I actually had a chance to see what they wrote, how highly they spoke. And it just, yeah, this weekend was unsurpassed, unlike any other that I've experienced in a long time. It's been a season of darkness and a season of growth all at the same time. Some of y'all will catch that, some of y'all will miss it. It is what it is. Right now, last announcement, and I'll make this announcement again. On this Sunday, September 4th, I want to say happy early birthday to my mom and my sister. My mom and my sister, they will both advance in their knowledge another year. So happy early birthday. And as a special tribute to them, I'm launching a different podcast where you can catch it exclusively on all podcast platforms, as well as we're going to put that up on YouTube for you to catch it. It's not Lunchtime Tips for Authors, but it's the Bestseller University podcast to go along with the training platform that is coming exclusively for new and experienced authors to take you all to the next level. So these tips that I'm dropping every week, every Wednesday, we will be here live at noon. So make sure y'all tune in. Enough for the announcements. Let's get into it, because I know y'all ain't come to hear celebrations in my life. Y'all just want the information. That's cool. I got it for you, right? So today, what are we talking about? We're talking about maximizing the opportunities that come from your book. Now, I do want to give you a heads up. Each of these opportunities that I'm explaining to you, I've already done. So I'm not giving you some theory that I read in a book. I'm not giving you some theory from some marketing guru who sat back and said, well, if you do this, you'll see this. No, from this first book, Claim Your Destiny, I actually experienced a lot of these opportunities, and not only from Claim Your Destiny, but from the business of books as well. And the book that we just launched, The Winning Mindset, there's going to be so many more opportunities that come as a result. So what I'm sharing with you as a new or an experienced author are the ways that, what's going on, Chico, are the ways that you can actually leverage your book and turn it into opportunities that create additional income streams for you. I know some of y'all on a regular basis say, man, I'm just tired of being at this 9 to 5. I want something different. I want to go to another level. Your book can do just that. For some people, that book just sits on the shelf and collects dust. For others, like myself, we turn those books into opportunities that allow us the freedom to move as we choose to. So let's get into it. As y'all know, I'm gonna go high level. I'm gonna give you the answers, and then I'm gonna come back. And once I come back, I'm gonna break everything down. So I'm just gonna list a few things that I've experienced, a few things that I've seen, and I'm gonna break it down on how you can actually get into it. Man, life is good, bro. Life is good. So one of the first things that can come from your book is simply a workbook. A workbook just gives information where people can walk through it. This is good for biographical nonfiction type of books that people are writing. The next one is speaking opportunities. If you are an author and you're not looking or not getting booked for speaking engagements, we need to talk. There are opportunities galore out there. There are plenty of meetings and opportunities that's happening. Coaching. Again, coaching for those who are coming behind you. You may have just walked out of a storm, or you may have laid the blueprint for someone to elevate themselves to a new level. Regardless of which one of those it is, there are people who want to learn specifically from you. As they say, the people who hear your voice are the ones who need to hear what it is that you're sharing and what you're expressing. Coaching conferences. If you're a speaker, there are plenty of people who are in different, who go to conferences all the time. You can look on your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Instagram. You can look on any of your social media timelines right now and find at least 3 to 5 conferences that are going on within the next month in your area. So conferences are something that you should be connected to. Creating a program. If you're creating a program from your book, for me, I created a youth program. You can create a program for domestic violence survivors. You can create a program for business owners. You can create a program for fitness gurus. You can create whatever it is. Your book has the blueprint. You already have the information that you're going to be teaching on. Now you just need to create a program where others can jump in and be a part of it. And it's not free for those programs. We'll touch on that in a second. Creating a curriculum. A curriculum is different from a program because you may create a coaching program. You may create a youth program, or like I said before, the different types of programs. But that curriculum is something that you can get people certified in. You can get people certified in. I see all of these major speakers and people are, oh, I just love Dave Ramsey with his financial tips. And he has Dave Ramsey certified coaches. I love John Maxwell. John Maxwell has John Maxwell certified speakers. There's at least 10 of them on your timeline right now that have paid at least $1,500 to go out and teach what John Maxwell taught them. Stephen Covey has certified planners. You, as an author, can create a certified coaching program for the information that you have, as long as it's relevant, as long as it's going to help others, right? The next thing is podcasts. From your book, you have the opportunity to create a podcast. If you're talking about a specific subject, then turn it into a podcast. Or if you don't feel like committing yourself to doing something every week, then look for opportunities to be on others' podcasts. That's called a media tour. Look for opportunities to share your information with others' podcasts, because that's where you'll find your growth. And then last is book signings. Book signings are a good way to get people out there, get in front of your audience physically, depending on where you're doing those book signings. If you're doing it in your community where people know you, you'll know everybody at the book signing. Sometimes you have to step out of your own way and get in front of people in different cities across the country and across the globe that you don't know, because those same people want to support you. You just have to promote it well and also be an outgoing person. Now let's take a wrap, go backwards and break this down, because I know y'all are sitting back like, wait a minute, you just gave me so much information, but how do I actually apply this? First thing, the workbook. One of the first things in your workbook, as you were writing, there were certain lessons, there were certain things that stood out to you. As the author, you're going to pick up on things that the average reader is not. Some of us are very intuitive and we catch the lessons and the blessings. Well, the other side says this was good reading, this was good entertainment. If they're seeing it as good entertainment, there's nothing wrong with that. But here's what I need you to do. From that book, I want you to go back through chapter by chapter, line by line, see what questions you're asking, see what lessons you shared, turn it into a question, turn it into a series of questions. If you mentioned in your book that, you know, in order to escape domestic violence, I had to surround myself with good people who were always uplifting me. Well, that's a lesson. Do you surround yourself with people who are lifting you up? Do you surround yourself with people who are pulling you down? Yes or no? Both of those are questions that you can ask. Who are the people that you're surrounding yourself with? And that causes people to start looking at the people that they are surrounding themselves with. Next thing is another question that can come from it is, what are some of the things that these people are telling you on a consistent basis to uplift you? And then they have to start listing out the things that people are telling them. So now they're not just reading it, but they're taking a deeper dive into what's actually happening in their own personal life. That's where the growth comes from in a workbook or in a curriculum, is making people take an introspective look at themselves and at their personal lives and applying the information that you've given. Books are great. Self-help, biographical books are great. But if you're not giving them lessons that they can walk away with, then what you're doing is you are actually writing something to boost your ego. Don't boost your ego. Write something that is going to help them to grow and take their business to a completely different level, their life to a completely different level. That's what our charge is as authors. The next thing from your book, we talked about the workbook. And for those of you that says, well, you know, I hear you talking, but have you ever done a workbook? This is the workbook that went with my very first book, Claim Your Destiny. You don't have to change anything about the book when you're creating the cover for it. All I did was add workbook on it. That's it. That's all you have to change. Keep it simple, but get it done. Next thing is speaking. Why would you want to be a speaker as an author? Let me give you some answers. And I got these headphones in to keep jumping out, so y'all bear with me. As an author, there are plenty of people who love the information that you are giving. Now, I'm going to ask you this question. Which would you rather get every time? $20 for your book or $1,000 or more to come out and speak? You've created a lane, you've created an opportunity, you've presented yourself as an expert in a specific lane as the author. So use that and leverage it to reach out to organizations that are bringing in speakers consistently. Who do you look for when you're looking for those decision makers? You're looking for, it may be HR directors, it may be training directors, it may be principals, it may be superintendents, it may be counselors. You're looking for someone who can actually bring you in to speak to their organization. If there's a conference coming up, because speaking in conferences kind of go hand in hand. There's a conference coming up, you speaking to the event planner. They will usually have a call for submissions for you to submit your proposal to speak. If your topic is in line with what it is that they are having in their conference, then they'll invite you in as a speaker. Some conferences already have the lineup for the people that they want to. What's going on, Devin? Thank you, man. Some conferences already have the lineup for the people that they want to speak, but there's still an opportunity to be a breakout speaker. You can be a breakout speaker and be better than the keynote speaker. I've done it plenty of times. And if you are the breakout speaker that's better than the keynote speaker, what's going to happen is that those conference organizers are going to take note and say, wait a minute, when we had our breakout sessions, everybody in this person's room, in this person's breakout session, was engaged. They were energized. It was so much energy in that room, and there was so much energy in that room, but the main speaker didn't even have this energy. How do we get them back for the next time? And then the next year or the next few months, they'll start referring you to other people. If you speak at a school, if you speak at a business, if you speak at an organization, what's going to happen is that you have to go in there. I don't care if you're speaking for free or if you're speaking for the biggest paycheck you've ever gotten in life. You go in there and give them the energy that you want them to receive. You give them the information as though you're being paid $1 million. And because here's what happens a lot of times to most people that are authors and that are just starting. They are excited about the information that they have, but they're scared to share it in such a way that when they walk into the rooms, they walk out of those same rooms and people are like, well, it was good information. It just didn't catch my attention. There's an old saying, work is usually disguised as or opportunity is usually disguised as work in overalls, which means if you want to get to the next level, you got to put in the work at this level and do it with such not intelligence, but with such a level of excellence that people come back again and again and again. I don't care if you're paying me nothing or if you're paying me $1 million to work on your project. I'm going to do it. My team is going to do it with such a level of excellence. I don't care if I'm speaking. Whatever it is that you do it with such a level of excellence that people remember you long after you leave the room, because they may not remember what you said, but they're going to remember how you said it and how you did it. If you do it sloppy, they're going to say, nah, we don't want that person. They got a sloppy work ethic. But if you come in there and you light that room on fire as a speaker, they coming back for you. Trust me. Been there, done that. Done it a few times around the globe, right? Coaching. For those of you who are writing books, not fiction books. Fiction books have the opportunity to create coaching programs as well. But for those of you who are writing nonfiction, your biography, or self-help books, or some type of business, or some type of how-to books, these are creating coaching opportunities for you because you're solving a problem or you're giving answers to someone. If you are writing a book of your life, then yeah, you're solving someone's problem because you may have went through a storm that person behind you is still in the midst of. You can talk about how you overcame that storm from life experience. It doesn't necessarily matter that you have 101 degrees. Salute to those who went in and got those degrees. But there are some people out here who have so much life experience, so much wisdom that you can walk someone through those situations that they're still stuck in. Domestic violence survivors, a business owner who made their first 6 figures in a month. If you made your first $1,000 from your business, you're still ahead of somebody who hasn't made $1. If you are writing about how to be great in sports because you've done great things in sports, those are things that people are looking for coaching opportunities. If you ever notice, a lot of athletes go back and become coaches, whether in high school, college, or any of the others, because that's what they love to do. As an author, you have been through something that someone else is still going through. So create your coaching program based on that workbook, based on the curriculum that you have designed from it. Give them activities, but also you're not looking to give them information that says, hey, just because I did this, you can too. It should include, hey, because I did this, you can too. And here's how. Because a coaching program, people are looking for results. They're not looking to celebrate you as the author. They're looking for the results. Remember, most people come to you because of their WIFM. What's in it for me? If you give them something as a strong WIFM, then they're going to come back and they're going to start achieving those results. But now here's the side note. As a coach, not everybody will apply the information that you give. Make sure you give it in such a way that it's broken down so easy that even a 3-year-old can apply it. If you break it down in such a way that a 3-year-old can apply it, those who want it will go get it. Those who don't want it will sit back and make excuses. It's not your fault. So I give you that out, but I'm not giving you a full out. I'm giving you the opportunity to understand there are people who will apply what you've given, and they'll reach levels that you couldn't even begin to imagine. And there are also going to be those people who get the information, take it in, and never use it. It's up to them. Everybody's responsible for their own growth, their own level of success. Keep giving the information, because somebody out there is learning and listening and will apply. Next thing is creating the program. The program from your the program can be either a coaching program, again, just as we just talked about. It can be a community-based program. It can be an annual program. It can be whatever the case. One of the things that I did from the first book, and I'm going back to the first book a lot. The last book that I wrote was actually based on a program that I already had, the coaching program, which is the business of books. But the first book, Claim Your Destiny, we turned it into a youth leadership program. The principles in there, when I wrote the book, I didn't have kids in mind. I actually had adults and business owners, and it was kind of a everybody can apply this if everybody reads it. What ended up happening was we started seeing the information that was in there was so relevant, but it was also very needed for the younger generation. So we started teaching them specific things about Claim Your Destiny. It's a book of motivation. How do you set goals for yourself? How do you create a vision board? Has there ever been anything in your life that damaged you or changed you? The importance of finding a mentor, the importance of making better decisions. These are things that came from one book. Your book is filled with information. If you've taken the time to write it in such a way, I know my brother Devin Coleman has a book coming soon called Turning the Curve, based on his life. And there's going to be so many lessons that are in there. The book that we just wrote, The Winning Mindset, is filled with information. We turned that into a workbook, but we're also turning it into a coaching program and curriculum. So depending on the organization that you are with, you may want to get in contact with one of the authors to bring them in to speak and to host a program specifically for your group. The Winning Mindset for entrepreneurs, the Winning Mindset for financial service planners, the Winning Mindset for athletes, the Winning Mindset for students, the Winning Mindset for teachers. It applies across the board, but each one of us have our own specialty in this book. Next thing is podcast. Why would you create a podcast from a book? Simple. Because your book is relevant to a specific audience. What you're doing when you start a podcast based on your book, when you start a podcast based on your book, is now you're actually giving people a chance to tune in and talk more about the information that's inside of your book. What do people usually do when they hear good information? They want to buy something from you. They want to buy something from you. So if you're talking about the information that's locked inside of your book in a podcast form, then guess what's going to happen? Now, those same people who listen to the podcast are going back and writing or reading your book, but they're also subscribing to your mailing list because they want to know about when the next book is coming out. You're building an audience from that podcast, but you're also keeping your book in the forefront of their minds. That free podcast that you're doing is generating you. If you have 100 people in the audience and 90 of them have never heard of your book, what happens if only 50 buy a book? What happens if only 10 buy a book? And you're charging $20 per book. You're still making at minimum $200 every time that podcast drops. That's why you create a podcast, because it keeps the information in front of people. It's still impacting lives. And if your book is relevant, then guess what? There are people across the globe that can talk about the topics that are inside of your book. You may just focus on one chapter a month. You may focus on one page. You may focus on the entire book. You can create podcasts where people are talking about how the book impacted them. You can have people on your podcast that are talking about how they've applied the lessons that were learned inside of your book on that podcast. You can have people that have never read the book, but their stories are so similar to the information inside of your book that now they are actually talking. They're talking, and you're creating a dialogue around the subject matter. And what happens when you do have a podcast and you bring on great guests, and I do say great guests, is that their guests are going to begin to follow you because they're going to share your podcast. They're going to talk about the opportunity that they have to be on your podcast. They're going to be excited. So they're going to share some of their audience with you. But the reciprocity is that you are also sharing your audience with them. It goes both ways. It goes both ways. And when you learn to share with others, what happens is that now people say, you know what? I like this person and I found them from. There's a lot of people that I've met through connections that I did not know before. But because we've shared resources, we've shared our audiences, we've actually went to completely different levels together. There's something beautiful about synergy. When you work together well, you actually take it to the next level. Another thing that you can do when it comes to podcasts is go on different podcasts that people already have established podcasts, and talk about the content of your book. You can talk about just your story, or you can talk about your knowledge, your knowledge base. And as a result of your knowledge base, it brings opportunities because people are going to want to hear more from you. People don't fall in love with the product. They fall in love with your story. Once they fall in love with your story, they will fall in love with the product, and they'll fall in love with, they'll look for ways to connect with you on the back end. So start looking for opportunities to connect with people that have established podcasts already. You'll find yourself in different circles where you weren't before. Here is the next thing. The last thing is book signings. Look for opportunities to go to stores and do book signings. Those stores are the stores that have your books already. Your books should be in Barnes & Noble. It should be in Books A Million. It should be in Powell's Books. It should be in Half Price Books. If there's a bookstore, if there's an independent bookstore, look for the opportunity, if they are having live events at the bookstore, to actually go to the bookstore and host your event. Look for the opportunity to go. But when you go to those places, make sure you have a standing banner that displays you, that displays your book, that displays a way for them to purchase your book. So when you are there, they'll give you a table. They'll give you tablecloth. They'll even give you book stands. You have to bring your own books, depending on the store. Now, some books, as long as you're in their system, they'll order the books for you to sell at the book signing. That's one way to do your book signings. Another way is to set up community-based book signings, where you're going to different locations in the community. If you do those types of, now, if you do it at the bookstore, what's going to happen is that you're catching foot traffic, because people in bookstores are looking to buy what? Books. If you do community events, you have to generate that traffic. Not only do you have to generate that traffic, but you have to be the voice out there. You're going to have to be the limelight type of person. I'm not a limelight type of person. I'm more of an introvert in person than I am an extrovert. I can be, but I'm more introverted than anything. So I prefer to do the book signings at bookstores because, one, it is a good look, it's a professional look, and I don't have to generate as much ongoing foot traffic for people coming in to you. If you do those book signings in community spaces across the country, you're going to have to look to connect with people that are in those places. Whereas if you go to bookstores across the country, then what's going to happen is that you're already speaking to people who know books on a consistent basis. So listen, all this was today is to give you information about maximizing those opportunities that come from your book. And like I said before, your book is not just a $20 calling card, as most people call it these days. What your book is actually something that is giving people the opportunity to learn more about you, but it's also giving people the opportunity to learn how to work with you. So look for those opportunities to create that workbook, which becomes a curriculum, and you can create your coaching and your programs from. Look for speaking opportunities. People are always looking for speakers. Speaking and meetings is a multi-billion-dollar business, right? It's a multi-billion-dollar business. Look for opportunities to be on podcasts, radio shows, TV shows, talking about your book. And then the last thing is go to those book signings. Those book signings, you're not going to sell 8,000 books in one sitting, but you will meet at least 80 to 100 great people. Not all of them will buy from you, but for those that do, celebrate them, build those relationships. One of the things that I heard recently that I've taken in, and I really love the way he said it. Kevin Hart was talking to Jay-Z about his key to success. And he said, I've learned to extend the handshake, because what most people do when you walk into rooms is, hey, I'm so-and-so, and then they're on to the next one because they're looking to get their name out there in different places. But if you can learn to extend that handshake, and what that means is when someone shakes your hand, when someone introduces themselves to you, get to know them. Get to know those people in different locations, different cities. I built many relationships with people that I met one time as a complete stranger, but it's because I was looking more in depth into who are you? What do you do? What is your life like? Who's in your family? I want to know about you as a person. Get to know people, and you'll see that opportunities go well beyond anything that you could have ever possibly imagined. But don't just get out there and get in front of people just to get your name out there. Don't be selfish. Reciprocate that energy, reciprocate that love, and you'll see that people are looking to meet you. Not only are they looking to meet you, but they may be connected to the person that you've been looking for your entire life. That person that you extend that handshake with may be connected to a decision maker that's ready to pay you your worth. It's all on you. So listen, y'all, starting this Sunday, September 4th, again, happy early birthday to my mom and my sister. But we are dropping the podcast for Bestsellers University. We've launched over 300, and now we're at 330 Amazon #1 best-selling authors, 57 international best-selling authors, and 20 #1 international best-selling authors. With that being said, we're dropping Bestseller University to give you tips to help you go to the next level as an author. And every Wednesday at noon, we'll be right here. So thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for tuning in from the bottom of my heart. Thank y'all for tuning in. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all next time.